The next sponsor here is Teranga Gold Corporation, a producer active in West Africa, and I would say a would-be consolidator in the West African gold mining space. There are probably 60 or 70 producing mines or mines in West Africa, projects in West Africa that are coming into production. And the truth is there doesn't need to be 60 or 70 management teams surrounding that. We expect that the result of this will be an acquisition series where 6 or 7 teams remain standing to the benefit of all. The companies that get acquired, the shareholders generally get a premium in the acquisition. The acquirer over time, as a consequence of lowering their capital cost by virtue of scale, and also lowering their general and administrative expense relative to their production revenues, will also benefit. And Teranga has already proven themselves to be an effective operator and an effective consolidator. I'm particularly attracted to West Africa as gold terrain simply because the political challenges that have existed there over the last 40 years have made it substantially underexplored and underdeveloped. The Teranga people have been on the ground there for 12 years. They have already proven that they're a success. So that challenge is behind them. Transition Metals is a prospect generator that is active in Eastern Canada, particularly for mafic and ultramafic deposits. Deposits that could be expected to have nickel, copper, cobalt, gold, silver, and platinum and palladium. The team involved in Transition Metals has been responsible for several discoveries in Eastern Canada, and I think it's fair to say when they were brought to my attention as people who were very, very familiar with the mafic and ultramafic terrains that one might expect in the Canadian Shield. As you know, I'm very attracted to the prospect generator business model. What you may not know is that I'm also attracted to that whole suite of mafic and ultramafic metals. I think the nickel price is too cheap. I think the platinum and palladium price is too cheap. I think the chrome price is too cheap. And I really like the cobalt market too. There's no guarantee, of course, that exploring for these things you find it, but the right way to do it is look in permissive terrain. There's no terrain more permissive than the Canadian Shield, and there's no team more experienced in looking there than Transition Metals. A new sponsor this year, because it's a new company, is Trek Mining, the result of a 3-company amalgamation really put together by one of our keynote speakers and a good young protege of mine, Marin Katusa. The Trek team is a sort of who's who of the younger generation of mining financiers and promoters in Vancouver. Really superior crew of young people. I said earlier that one of the things that you look to do in this business is find the second generation of superstars, and my real attraction to Trek is not necessarily the asset base that they have accumulated around them so far, although they would beg to differ from that, but rather the people around it and what they're proposing to do. And what they're proposing to do is to assemble high quality, misunderstood, underfunded gold projects when the gold price is relatively cheap and advance them. This is a time-tested method for success. This is what Bob Quartermain did with Silver Standard. This is what Ross Beatty did with Pan American Silver and Lumina Copper. This is what Amir Adnani is trying to do with Gold Mining Inc. and Uranium Energy. Acquire assets that are underfunded, misunderstood, employ better science and better capital, and explain the story well enough to the market that you lower your cost of capital over time. And the Trek Mining team is an excellent team to continue this circumstance. Vista Gold are long-term friends of the Sprott conference. We've been involved with Vista on and off for about 20 years. It really started as an optionality play. The beginnings of Sprott's relationship with Vista came about in the 1990s when gold was so cheap that it made sense to us, rather than to mine it, to buy deposits that had been discovered and wait until the price went up. We came to the conclusion in buying Vista shares that if you thought the price of something was going to escalate rapidly, it didn't make any particular sense to mine it. Why would you mine gold, as an example? Because you thought the price was going to go up in 5 years. In 5 years, you have a hole in the ground where your gold used to be. Vista was fairly successful with this circumstance, successful enough that in the first year we owned it, it went 10 for 1 in price. Vista is now focusing on one deposit, a deposit in northern Australia, the Mount Todd deposit that we know fairly well, a multi-million ounce deposit. Vista is doing their best to remove all of the obstacles to putting this thing into production. I don't think it's likely to go into production in the next couple of years, and I think that's handy because I think, as the original thesis went, that this is a gold price that goes higher. When the gold price goes higher, the project will have been de-risked, and the obstacles with regards to permitting and financing associated with putting it in production will have gone away. At that point in time, Vista will be able to put the project in production itself or sell the whole company to somebody else who wants a large, permitted, and ready-to-go gold project. West Kirkland Gold is a new exhibitor for us, but it's run by old friends. Mike Jones and his team have been serially successful in Vancouver in the last 30 years. West Kirkland is a company that controls the Hasbrook project in Tonopah, Nevada, a project that we know fairly well. We believe from the pre-feasibility study that the project is economic as it sits. The company is going through producing the bankable feasibility study. This is the document that will allow third-party financing to put the mine in production. We expect that all the obstacles to production will be cleared away in the 18 to 24-month time frame. This is certainly a company that's declared that it's on the way to commercial production, and the team has done it before, and we believe will be able to do it again. The company presenter, Mike Jones, as I say, is somebody who, despite his relatively young age, I've known for 30 years, and I'm delighted to call a friend as well as a colleague. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and attention. I have a high degree of confidence that the time that you spend in the exhibit hall will be to your benefit. I want to tell you one more time that the issuer exhibitors here are all companies that are owned in Sprott managed products. That doesn't mean that all of them will go up in price. What it does mean is that they have all been vetted by Sprott. Thanks so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye.